Workforce Success. The time is 10:12 a.m. on October 22nd, 2025, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. Please be aware that this meeting is being broadcast live via the internet. Members, when I call your name, please announce present. Myself, Emma Nevares. Dr. Wong is unable to attend. Javed Anwar.
Yes.
Stacy Hawk. Ashley Thomas.
Present.
Lisa Cantu, Student Representative. Present. Please record in the minutes that we have a quorum. Agenda item 2 is consideration and possible action to adopt the minutes for the July 23rd, 2025 committee meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt the July 23rd minutes of the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Agenda item 3 is public testimony on agenda items related to the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. We do not have anyone registered to testify today, so we'll go on to the next item. Agenda item 4 is consideration and possible action to adopt the consent calendar. The consent calendar includes non-controversial items that we think can be approved without comment or discussion. This allows us to save time for other items that need more of our attention. Highlighted items in gray are the consent items on the agenda. We're going to take up the consent calendars in two parts: approval of non-rule consent items and then the rule consent agenda items. Of course, any board member can request that an agenda item be added or removed from the consent calendar. The non-rule agenda items listed on the consent calendar for this meeting are 5A, consideration and possible action to adopt the Community College Transfer Student Report, General Appropriations Act, Senate Bill 1, Article 3, Section 45, Special Provisions, 89th Legislature, Regular Session. 5B, consideration and possible action to approve the Tobacco Fund Settlement Annual Progress Report for fiscal year 2025. 5C, consideration and possible action to adopt the study and report on assisting students with autism spectrum disorder, Texas Education Code Section 61.06694. 5D, consideration of board delegation to commissioner for approval of the report required by General Appropriations Act, Senate Bill 1, Article 3, Section 33, 89th Legislature, related to the effectiveness of the Advised Texas Program. 5H, consideration and possible action to approve receipt of the fiscal year 2026 Carl D. Perkins Community and Technical Colleges Consolidated Grant Mid-Year Reallocation Funds not to exceed $10.5 million. 5I, consideration and possible action to appoint members to the Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Education for Persons with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, Texas Education Code Section 61.06641, General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee, Texas Education Code 61.0522. 5J, reports on activities of the 1. Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Education for Persons with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, Texas Education Code Section 61.06641. 2. Apply Texas Advisory Committee. 3. Workforce Education Course Manual Advisory Committee, including the report for fiscal year 2025. Members, are there any other agenda items that anyone would like to add to the consent calendar? Are there any agenda items that anyone would like to remove from the consent calendar? Do I have a motion to approve the non-rule consent calendar? Can I have a motion? Ms. Hawk, can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Anwar, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The motion passes. Members, the next item on the consent are the consent rule items. The rules placed on the consent calendar are those that are either technical, conforming, or implement non-controversial policies around which there is consensus. 5L2, consideration and possible action to adopt the recommendation relating to the 4-year review of Board Rules Chapter 1, Subchapter P, concerning the Lower Division Academic Course Guide Manual Advisory Committee. 5L3, consideration and possible action to adopt proposed amendments to the Board Rules Chapter 1, Subchapter P, Section 1.195, concerning the Lower Division Academic Course Guide Manual Advisory Committee. 5L4, consideration and possible action to adopt proposed amendments to Board Rules Chapter 2, Subchapter O, Sections 2.357 and 2.358, concerning the approval process and required reporting for self-supporting degree programs. 5L5, consideration and possible action to adopt the recommendation relating to 4-year review of board rules, Chapter 4, Subchapter B, concerning transfer of credit, core curriculum, and field of study curricula. 5L9, consideration and possible action to repeal Board Rules Chapter 6, Subchapter A, Section 6.1 through 6.10, concerning the Family Practice Residency Program. 5L10, consideration and possible action to adopt new Board Rules Chapter 10, Subchapter SS, Sections 10.890 through 10.898, concerning the Texas Reskilling and Upskilling Through Education TRUE grant program. 5L12, consideration and possible action to repeal Board Rules Chapter 13, Subchapter N, Sections 13.400 through 13.408, concerning the Texas Reskilling and Upskilling Through Education TRUE grant program. 5L13, consideration and possible action to repeal Board Rules Chapter 400, Sections 400.1 through 400.7, concerning grant administration. Members, are there any other rule agenda items that anyone would like to add to the consent calendar? Are there any rule items that anyone would like to remove from the consent calendar? Nope. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the rule consent calendar?
So moved.
Ms. Thomas, do I have a second? Ms. Hawk, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The motion passes. Agenda items 5A through 5D were approved on consent. Agenda item 5E is consideration and possible action to adopt the Commissioner's recommendation to grant the University of Austin's request for a second certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas. Ms. Elizabeth Mayer, Assistant Commissioner for Academic and Health Affairs, will present this item and be available to answer any questions. Ms. Mayer.
Good morning. So University of Austin seeks coordinating board approval to renew its certificate of authority to award a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Study. Ooh, I'm so sorry. I think this is, hold on one second. Yes, this is correct. Sorry. So they want to have the UATX's initial certificate of authority is set to expire on October 26th of 2025. And so if approved, this would be UTX's second certificate of authority, and this would be valid from October of 25 to October of 2027. And just in terms of process, the certificates of authority are valid for 2-year periods. Institutions may be granted 4 successive certificates of authority, but after 8 years, absent sufficient cause, the institution must have obtained accreditation from a coordinating board recognized accrediting agency. So a desk review of the application and a site evaluation was conducted in the spring of 2025. The site evaluation team report indicated that at the time of the site visit, UATX was in compliance of 23 of the 24 coordinating board required standards, and UATX's response to the site team report provided clarifying information regarding the one standard, number 22, that was not met, the students' rights and responsibilities. The Certification Advisory Council reviewed the site evaluation team's report and the UATX response. The CAC members voted unanimously to recommend approval of the UATX's renewal application. Based upon the Texas Administrative Code, Section 7.4, Standards for Operation of Institutions, coordinating board staff recommended approval of the proposed second certificate of authority for the University of Austin to the Commissioner, and the Commissioner recommends board approval.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Mayer? If not, can I have a motion to adopt the Commissioner's recommendation to grant the University of Austin's request for a second certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas?
So moved.
Ms. Thomas, and a second? Mr.
Second.
Anwar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The motion passes. Agenda item 5F is consideration and possible action to adopt the Commissioner's recommendation to grant the University of Austin's application to amend their second certificate of authority by adding the Master of Startup Innovation degree program. Ms. Mayer will present this item and be available to answer questions.
So you all just approved the University of Austin's second certificate of authority. And in addition, they also are requesting a Master of Startup Innovation degree. So the University of Austin Master of Startup Innovation is a graduate program focused on training the next generation of company founders and business leaders. The program specializes in the science, technology, philosophical underpinnings, ethos, and culture of the most successful startups. Students are immersed in a technical and fast-paced environment that explores the life cycle of a startup from inception to exit. So based upon the site evaluation team's report and the CAC's unanimous vote to recommend approval of UATX's amendment to add a Master of Startup Innovation, and as I mentioned, you all just approved its second certificate of authority from the last item. So the commissioner recommends board approval for the application for the amendment as well.
Do we have any questions? How many degrees do they offer in general?
So this would be the second.
Total.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the commissioner's recommendation to grant the University of Austin's application to amend their second certificate of authority by adding the Master of Startup Innovation degree program? We have a motion by Ms. Hawk. And a
Second.
second by Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The motion passes. Agenda item 5G is consideration and possible action to approve the request from the University of Texas at Austin for a substantive change from a Doctor of Nursing Practice DNP degree program to a DNP in Clinical Nurse Specialist and a DNP in Nurse Practitioner. Ms. Elizabeth Mayer will present this item and be available for questions.
The University of Texas at Austin is requesting a substantive change to how its Doctor of Nursing Practice programs are reflected on the institution's inventory of degree programs to more accurately reflect the number of nurse practitioners and clinical nurse specialists the institution is graduating. So UT Austin currently offers a Master of Science in Nursing to a Doctor of Nursing Practice or a DNP. They also have a pathway of a Bachelor of Science or a BSN to the DNP pathway. The BSN to DNP option leads to advanced practice certification in nurse practitioner or clinical nurse specialist. Board rule requires that any substantive changes to a degree program previously approved by the board must be brought before the board for approval. So this is a substantive change, but it actually does not include any new resources, faculty, or courses that would be added. So if approved, the substantive change would result in adding the Doctor of Nursing Practice and Nurse Practitioner and a DNP and Clinical Nurse Specialist to the program inventory. And the commissioner recommends approval.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the request from the University of Texas at Austin for a substantive change from a Doctor of Nursing Practice degree program to a DNP in Clinical Nurse Specialist and a DNP in Nurse Practitioner? Motion by Ms. Hawk,
Second.
second by Mr. Anwar. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda items 5H through 5J 1 through 3 were approved on consent. Agenda item 5K are the requests for new degree programs. Members, representatives from each institution will be available to answer questions at tomorrow's quarterly board meeting. Agenda item 5K is consideration and possible action to approve the request from the University of Houston for a Doctor of Philosophy, a PhD in Statistics and Data Science. Ms. Elizabeth Mayer will present this item and be available to answer questions.
The University of Houston is seeking approval to offer a Doctor of Philosophy or a PhD program in Data Science and Statistics that would begin in the fall of 2026. The proposed 71 semester credit hour program would be offered in person to students with expected completion within 5 years. No new faculty will need to be hired in order to deliver the program. The institution plans to provide both teaching and research assisting funding for a total of $21,893 annually per assistantship. The program takes on an interdisciplinary approach to problem solving through data modeling, statistical analysis, and research. With the increased attention to artificial intelligence, the program will prepare students for the changing landscape in which an emphasis is placed on technical application of data science rather than theoretical. And the commissioner recommends the program for board approval.
Do we have any questions? Well, this is our only program for approval today. So do we have a motion to approve the request from the University of Houston for a Doctor of Philosophy in Statistics and Data Science?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Anwar, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item 5L are the proposed rules. Agenda item 5L1 is consideration and possible action to adopt new board rules, Chapter 1, Subchapter N, Sections 1.180 through 1.184 concerning the General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee. Dr. David Troutman, Deputy Commissioner for Academic and Workforce Initiatives, will present this item and be available to answer any questions.
Great.
Dr.
Good
Troutman.
morning. Good morning. And I
Good
think Elizabeth's going to stay up here since she has continuing items.
Great.
So good morning. David Troutman, Deputy Commissioner for Academic Workforce Initiatives. This agenda item seeks your consideration and possible action to adopt new board rules under Chapter 1, Subchapter N, Sections 1.180 to 1.184 concerning the General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee required by Senate Bill 37 of our 89th session. Senate Bill 37 directed the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board to establish the General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee. The advisory committee shall review the general education curriculum requirements of public institutions of higher education and consider methods for determining general education curriculum component courses and for considering the number of general education curriculum courses required at public institutions of higher education in Texas. The proposed rules outline the committee's authority, purpose, composition, terms of service, meeting requirements, and reporting structure. The committee consists of 14 members, 7 from the 2-year public institutions and 7 from our 4-year public institutions that were nominated by the institutional leadership across the state and then approved by the board. No public comments were received regarding the proposed rule during public comment period. This concludes this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Okay, can I have a motion to adopt new board rules, Chapter 1, Subchapter N, Sections 1.180 through 1.184 concerning the General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee? Motion by Ms. Hawk and a second by
Second.
Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda items 5L2 through 5L5 were approved on consent. Agenda item 5L6 is consideration and possible action to adopt proposed amendments to Board Rules Chapter 4, Subchapter B, Sections 4.27 concerning the resolution of transfer disputes for lower division courses. Ms. Elizabeth Mayer will present this item.
So for these rules or the amendments, we just want to clarify that the institutions proposing to deny credit to a student must notify the board of the dispute if it is not resolved to the satisfaction of the student or the institution that awarded the credit. No comments were received for this, and we recommend adoption.
Okay. Any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt the proposed amendments to Board Rules Chapter 4, Subchapter B, Section 4.27 concerning resolution of transfer disputes for lower division courses?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do we have a second by Ms. Hawk? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item 5L7 is consideration and possible action to adopt proposed amendments to Board Rules Chapter 4, Subchapter C, Section 4.52 concerning Texas Success Initiative as required by Senate Bill 2786, 89th Texas Legislature regular session. Mr. Daniel Perez, Assistant Deputy Commissioner for Academic and Workforce Initiatives, will present this item and be available to answer any questions. Mr. Perez.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Perez. I'm the Assistant Deputy Commissioner for Academic and Workforce Initiatives. Pleased to be here with you this morning to present these proposed amendments to the board rules that implement Senate Bill 2786, which passed during the regular session of the 89th Texas Legislature. These amendments reflect the expansion of non-applicability of the Texas Success Initiative to students certified as an emergency medical technician, fire protection personnel, or those who are elected, appointed, or employed to serve as a peace officer. In other words, these students would not need to demonstrate college readiness to be able to enroll in entry-level courses that are reading, writing, or math intensive. Did want to note that these amendments reflect two changes that we made in response to public comments we received. The agency received a request to clarify whether the exemption can be determined by institutions as a one-time eligibility at initial enrollment or whether the institutions are required to verify continued eligibility at each enrollment period. We clarified that institutions do need to verify eligibility at each enrollment period. We also received a request to define the term political subdivision. We've done so in these rules. So happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the proposed amendments to Board Rules, Chapter 4, Subchapter C, Section 4.52 concerning the Texas Success Initiative? Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Hawk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by second by Mr. Anwar. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item 5L8 is consideration and possible action to adopt new board rules, Chapter 4, Subchapter P, Sections 4.250 through 4.254 concerning Program of Study Institutional Requirements. Dr. Tina Jackson, Assistant Commissioner for Workforce Education, will present this item and be available to answer any questions. Dr. Jackson?
Good morning. Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Tina Jackson, and I serve as Assistant Commissioner of Workforce Education. The purpose of this subchapter is to provide the development and implementation of career and technical education, program of study, structures, and policies for Level 1 certificates, which consist of 15 to 42 semester credit hours and are designed for students to complete in one calendar year or less. That encourages statewide credit portability for degree completion and supports recognition and transfer for dual credit achievement. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt new board rules, Chapter 4, Subchapter P, Sections 4.250 through 4.254 concerning Program of Study Institutional Requirements? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Thomas, can I have a second? By Ms. Hawk. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Agenda items 5L9 and 5L10 were approved on consent. Agenda item 5L11 is consideration and possible action to propose the amendments to Board Rules, Chapter 12, Subchapter A, Section 12.5, concerning the Opportunity High School Diploma Program. Ms. Lee Rector, Associate Commissioner for Workforce Education, will present this item and be available to answer questions.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chair. Members, happy to be with you today to talk to you yet again about Opportunity High School Diploma. I think it's been about a year since I've been in front of you with a rule revision. So today you're looking at a rule amendment to Chapter 12, Subchapter A, relating to the assessments that are approved for this diploma program. And you may recall this is a competency-based program for adults age 18 and older who are concurrently enrolled in a workforce education program. So today you're being, asked to adopt an amendment to the program rules to update the figure in Section 12.5, and this lists the approved assessments. The amendment today also includes a technical correction to the level of attainment for the STAR exams. When it was published to the Texas Register, it inadvertently had the wrong level, and that has been corrected in the list you have in your briefing book. And that level is based on TEA's level of assessment and the high school diploma program for the STAR Awards. You'll be making probably this amendment for these assessments on a regular basis, maybe not once a year, but frequently as they change, as vendors update external assessments also. So that concludes my comments. Happy to answer questions.
Do we know what the enrollment is for in this program
They have
statewide?
started enrollment this quarter, and we're waiting to get those numbers with this quarter's report. I know that El Paso said that they were going to have, I think it's up to 20. It varies across. I think we're looking at probably for the first 6 months of the program between 20 to 50. This is not going to be a huge program initially. Do recall there are only 5 colleges that are approved to offer this program per statute. The way that we would grow it would be probably through a consortium model or a statutory change in the future.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the proposed amendments to Board Rules, Chapter 12, Subchapter A, Section 12.5 concerning the Opportunity High School Diploma Program? We have a motion by Ms. Hawk. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. Agenda items 5L12 and 5L13 were approved on consent. Agenda item 6 is adjournment. If there's no further discussion, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Thomas and a second by
Second.
Mr. Anwar. All in favor say aye. The motion passes. We will now take a short break to allow staff to set up for the Agency Operations Committee meeting. The next meeting will begin shortly. Thank you.